Hello and welcome to another episode of TEW 2020 NXT 2010. We are here continuing the build-up to NXT's second pay-per-view event, NXT Takeover, where NXT will well and truly do just that, take over. We are in week 3 of February, and we're kicking off NXT here with a pre-show match once again. The Golden Lovers defeating the Dude Busters. After about 8 minutes, Kota Ibushi pinning Trent Brea with a 630 senton. Still, just building up Omega and Ibushi. You know, pop-wise, not the highest, so just give him a little boost with these pre-show appearances and wins. 39 for the match is pretty good as well. 39 Trent, 35 Croft, 35 Ibushi, 34 Omega. Happy with that. And then we're on to the main show here. And it starts with AJ Styles in the ring, and he calls out Barrett. He says he beat Barrett last week. He beat the NXT champion, and he thinks that entitles him to a shot. He says that he deserves a match with Wade Barrett for the NXT Championship. And that's where he's interrupted by Alberto Del Rio, and Del Rio says, "Is that how it works, AJ? We beat someone and then we get a match. Well, you beat Wade Barrett, so you deserve an NXT Championship match. Well, I beat you on my way to winning this NXT North American Championship, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, I feel like that puts me ahead of you in contention for the NXT Championship. I mean, think of how good Alberto Del Rio would look with 2 championships round his waist for 73. And then also coming out is Okada. Okada got the better of EC3 last week, clearly wanting Alberto Del Rio's North American title, confronting him a bit, and then finally Barrett coming out as well. Everyone's talking about him. And then the 4 superstars all arguing, all going back and forth. AJ leaves here because this is the problem with having 2 AJs in your company. AJ Lee comes first, and sometimes I just forget to change it to Styles. I don't know what the solution to that is. I really don't. But the 4 superstars all arguing, and before breaking out into a bit of a brawl here. Styles and Barrett, Okada and Del Rio. And in the end, Styles and Okada kind of come out on top, clearing the ring of Barrett and Del Rio, the champions. Dusty Rhodes announcing the main event tag team action. AJ Styles and Okada taking on Barrett and Del Rio for a 44. Decent segments. I think if AJ Styles was here, I would have done better, but that's on me. And a big main event announced. Hopefully that will do well. As next up, we have the first of 2 semi-finals in the Women's Tag Team Championships tournament. Is the team of Daphne and Paige. Experience and you've taken on the Kabuki Warriors Io Shirai and Asuka, and in the end it is Daphne and Paige who get the win and advance into the Women's Tag Team Championship Tournament final. Paige pinning Io Shirai with a Rampage. 33 for the match, happy with that, good match. 43 from Daphne, doing very well as ever. 30 from Asuka, 29 Io, 23 Paige. No complaints from me, very happy with this as Daphne and Paige earn their spot in the final and will have a chance to become the inaugural NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. Next up, we have another match. It's Kurt Hawkins taking on, in his debut, Luchasaurus. Hawkins dissing all of the champions last week. Luchasaurus taking obsession to him, dissing La Sombra in particular and beating him down. And now the match between the 2 men, and Luchasaurus comes out on top. A dominant display from him, in the end winning with a pump handle wheelbarrow driver. Luchasaurus getting the victory here for a 35. Happy with this. 39 Kurt Hawkins, 26 Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus doing well in his debut, coming out on top. And then after the match, the Cruiserweight Champion La Sombra giving the orders to Luchasaurus to beat down Kurt Hawkins further before holding him up for La Sombra to hit him with his finishing move for a 36. Happy with this. Good work from these guys, as La Sombra teaching Kurt Hawkins a lesson for running his mouth last week, well and truly. As next up, we have Bo Rotunda of the Rotundas, the tag team champs, taking on Curtis Hennig of the Fortunate Sons. Last week, of course, the Fortunate Sons attacking the Rotundas after their match, laying them out. And now Bo hoping for a measure of revenge. Bray and Brett at ringside. It's Bo versus Curtis, and in the end, Curtis Hennig picks up the win with a fisherman's suplex over one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions for a 34. Happy with this. 25 for Bo, 34 for Curtis. Bo sadly off his game a bit, but still 34. I'll take that. And then afterwards, Bray checking on Bo whilst Curtis gets his arm raised. And then Curtis and Brett seemingly having an idea, going over and attacking Bray as well, laying him out. And just like last week, the Fortunate Sons standing tall over the NXT Tag Team Champions, the Rotundas, to end this segment here for a 33. Good little segment once again. The NXT Tag Team title scene with these four guys picking up heat as we head towards TakeOver. As next up, we have the second semi-final in the NXT Women's Tag Team title tournament. It is Serena and Nikki Cross. Serena and Nikki Cross taking on Team BAD, Tamina and Naomi. And in the end, Serena and Nikki Cross pick up the victory. Nikki Cross rolling up Tamina, and Tamina unable to kick out in time, as Serena and Nikki Cross advance to the final for a 21. Naomi suffering a swollen calf muscle. Very sorry to hear that, but also pleased that Team Bad didn't win this match, because if they did, I'd have to change my plans, wouldn't I? 34 Serena, 21 Tamina, 19 Cross, 6 Naomi, but she was injured in her defense. Happy enough with this, as Serena and Nikki Cross advance to the final, and they are confronted by the team they will be facing in that final at TakeOver. Daphne and Paige coming out. Daphne and Serena staring down the two experienced superstars, as well as Nikki Cross and Paige staring down the two young, up-and-coming superstars, both of them coming from Britain as well. It is sure to be a good match, I am hoping, between these four superstars, with the NXT Women's Tag titles on the line. 34 for that segment. Pleased with that, as we have another promo from Karma. You know, showing her dominance, but then also showing footage of Daphne and Paige and Asuka and Io and Serena and Nikki Cross. Kind of like a warning, you know, all these superstars winning matches and doing well, but who will Karma come for? Who will Karma come for next? No one seems to want to step up to Karma. So who will Karma be coming for next? And it ends very ominously saying, "See you soon," for a 44 here. Karma, scary as ever. Who is she going to be coming for? We'll have to find out. Whoever it is, you really wouldn't want to be them, would you? But it's time to move on to the main event. The tag team match, as announced earlier, the NXT champion Wade Barrett and the NXT North American champion Alberto Del Rio taking on the team of AJ Styles and Kazuchika Okada. And in the end, the contenders get the win. Okada rolling up Del Rio for the victory. Okada pinning the NXT North American champion out of nowhere. Barrett and Del Rio can't believe it. A 68 for the match. Good main event between these guys. 82 AJ, 51 Del Rio, 50 Barrett, 33 Okada. You'd have to think without Okada here, that gets even higher, but still Okada here and getting the win, pinning Del Rio. And then after the match, Styles and Okada celebrating their victory over the champions. Del Rio, Barrett angry at ringside. And you'd have to think this match pushing Styles and Okada even higher up and closer to shots at the championships they want. Okada wants Del Rio in the NXT North American title. Styles wants Barrett in the NXT title. And you'd have to think this helps their claims. This will help with their efforts to get title matches for a 53 here. Overall, this episode of NXT getting a 46. Increased up in one region. Happy with this. Good show. The NXT Women's Tag Title match set for NXT TakeOver. Cross and Serena against Daphne and Paige. Styles and Okada getting big wins over Barrett and Del Rio. Things progressing and moving nicely as we head towards TakeOver. But before we get there, there is one more show to do. And so without further ado, it's time for Week 4, February 2020's episode of NXT. This Week 4 episode of NXT getting underway. On the pre-show, Dean Ambrose defeating Johnny Curtis, Eddie Kingston at ringside for his partner Dean. Dean Ambrose picking up the win with the Dirty Deeds for a 34. Yeah, decent little pre-show match this. 31 for Dean, 33 Johnny Curtis. No complaints here. Johnny Curtis Fandango, of course, got to rename him. Got to rename a lot of people probably are on this roster, but still. Dean getting the win here on the pre-show. And then on the main card, we're kicking off things with AJ Styles versus Alberto Del Rio. AJ Styles makes his way down to the ring. Del Rio's music hits, and he comes out onto the stage with EC3, and Del Rio says that he's not feeling it tonight, that he has decided he won't be fighting AJ Styles. But don't worry, AJ. You're still having a match. None against me, Del, against EC3 for 60 here. Styles not getting the opponent he wanted in Del Rio, but still got a match next up against EC3, and in the end, AJ Styles picking up the win with a phenomenal forearm to EC3 for the victory. For a 61, decent match here. AJ with the 82. Phenomenal performance from AJ as ever. And a 11 for EC3. Yeah, I mean, it's better than in his debut match, so, you know, he's getting there. But it's Styles who gets the win on this occasion to kick things off. We then go backstage for a little promo from the tag team champions, the Rotundas. They talk about the Fortunate Sons attacks over the past few weeks, and they say that they're ready, that they can't wait to get their hands on the Fortunate Sons, Brett and Curtis, at NXT Takeover. They say that the Fortunate Sons are so full of themselves and so cocky and arrogant, but at Takeover, they're going to get both of their asses kicked, and the Rotunda brothers are going to come out on top for a 41 here. Good little promo from the Rotundas, leading into their first hopeful NXT Tag Team Championship defense against the Fortunate Sons, Brett DiBiase and Curtis Hennig at NXT Takeover. Before next up, we have a tag match. It is Daphne and Paige, who last week qualified for the NXT Women's Tag Team title match at Takeover, taking on Team BAD, Naomi and Tamina, who failed to do so, lost in the semi-final, but taking on Daphne and Paige here tonight. And Daphne and Paige coming out on top, Paige hitting a slightly injured Naomi with the PTO for the victory, as Daphne and Paige continue building up momentum into their tag title match for a 31. Good little match here. 42 Daphne, 21 Tamina, 19 Paige, 6 Naomi, but Naomi was injured, so that's understandable, I think. Good little match as Daphne and Paige prepare themselves for their NXT Women's Tag Team Championship match at NXT TakeOver. Then out comes La Sombra, and accompanied by Luchasaurus, of course. And they issue a Cruiserweight Open Challenge. La Sombra says he's the best Cruiserweight on the planet. The king of the Cruiserweights. No one can touch him. No one can go toe-to-toe with him. So who is going to step up to be defeated by La Sombra for a 32? And the challenge is accepted by Neville. You think king of the Cruiserweights, you may think of Neville, because that gimmick did kind of slap, didn't it? So it is La Sombra taking on Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship here. And both men giving their all. Neville putting up a top-class performance, but in the end, it is La Sombra who comes out on top with the Hammerlock DDT, successfully defending his Cruiserweight Championship for a 37. Decent match once again. 33 La Sombra, 34 Neville. Happy with this. La Sombra coming out on top though, and then after the match giving the orders to Luchasaurus to beat down on Neville. Luchasaurus in the end grabbing Neville and lifting him right into the air as high as he can get him for a massive choke slam for a 28 here. La Sombra not content with just beating Neville, wanting to hurt him as well for having the audacity to accept the challenge with this Luchasaurus post-match beatdown. Before we have a promo from the Fortunate Sons, Brett and Curtis, and they promise to win the NXT Tag Team titles. They say Bray and Bo every day. They say that every day the Rotunda brothers hold those tag team titles, they devalue them further and further. People like Bo and Bray, they don't deserve to be champions. They don't have what it takes to be champions, but Brett and Curtis do, because championship gold runs through their blood. Being the best runs through their blood. And so come TakeOver, they're going to take their rightful spot at the top of the NXT Tag Team Championship division, and they're finally going to bring some prestige to those championships. 4:30 here. Good promo from these guys. Hopefully a good match at NXT TakeOver between the Rotundas and the Fortunate Sons. As next up we have another tag team match. It is Nikki Cross and Serena who will be taking on Daphne and Paige in that NXT Women's Tag Team title match at TakeOver, taking on Asuka and Io, the Kabuki Warriors, who sadly came up short last week in their match with Daphne and Paige. Taking on Cross and Serena here tonight though. And Nikki Cross and Serena picking up the win. Nikki Cross rolling Io Shirai up for the victory for a 32. Decent match, I'm happy enough with it. 34 Serena, 30 Asuka, 30 Io, 20 Nikki Cross. No complaints from me. 32 for the segment. I'm quite pleased with it. The match, Nikki Cross and Serena getting the win, celebrating, going up the ramp backstage. Asuka and Io. Asuka checking on Io, Io getting to her feet, and then the music of the NXT Women's Champion, Karma, hits. Karma made it clear she was coming for someone this week, and it seems it is Asuka and Io. Karma storming down to the ring. Asuka tries to fight her off, but Karma overpowering Asuka, smashing her to the mat, going for Io, slamming her down. Asuka trying to fight back. Karma takes her out as well. In the end, Karma laying out Asuka and Io Shirai here, and standing tall over them with that NXT Women's Championship to end things for a 28. Decent little segment here. Karma deciding if no one wants to step up to her, she'll find her own challengers. And, I mean, the hard-hitting Asuka and the high-flying Io Shirai are definitely not bad challengers, are they? So it could go poorly for Karma, it could go quite well for Asuka and Io. We'd have to wait and see. Before a rather ominous promo plays, you see Abyss with the mask holding his head in a darkened room, saying that the voices, he can't make the voices stop. They keep calling to him. They keep shouting his name, and he tells them to stop. He screams for them to stop, but all he's doing is shouting into an abyss because they never stop. And then leans down to him, Luke Harper, and Luke Harper says, "It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. The voices, they can't hurt you. You need to do one thing, okay? Ignore the voices. Ignore the voices in your head. Ignore all of them and focus on one thing. Because the only voice that matters is mine. So just focus on my voice. Listen to what I tell you. Obey. And everything will be okay." For a 38-year, very ominous promo from Luke Harper and Abyss here. What could it mean? We'll have to wait to find out, but rather strange from these two as we head into the main event. Earlier tonight we had the NXT Championship #1 contender AJ Styles taking on the NXT North American Champion Alberto Del Rio, or it was meant to be before Del Rio changed to his lackey EC3. But now we've got the reverse. It's the NXT Champion Wade Barrett taking on the NXT North American Championship #1 contender Kazuchika, Okada, and in the end, Barrett using the brass knuckles, hitting Okada, and then hitting a wasteland for the victory for a 48. Good little match between these two. 33 Okada, 50 Barrett as the NXT Champion, cheating once again and picking up the victory, this time over Okada, to end things on the go-home show heading into TakeOver. Barrett standing tall. Will that be the scene at TakeOver? Will he defeat AJ Styles to retain the NXT Championship? We will have to see. Week 4 of NXT here, getting a 45, increased our pop in one region, decent show, happy with that. Things progressing nicely, and good card for NXT TakeOver, I think. We've got Daphne and Paige taking on Nikki Cross and Serena to crown the inaugural NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. We have Alberto Del Rio taking on Kazuchika Okada for the NXT North American Championship. We have the Rotundas taking on the Fortunate Sons for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Karma defending her NXT Women's title against Asuka and Io Shirai in a triple threat match. Asuka and Io will have the numbers advantage, but Karma is Karma, so does the number advantage really matter at the end of the day? And in the main event, in what I'm sure will be a great match, Wade Barrett defends his NXT Championship against the phenomenal one AJ Styles. Can Wade Barrett retain, or will AJ Styles just be too much for him? We'll have to wait and see next episode, but that is all for today. I hope you have enjoyed and you're enjoying the series as a whole. If you are, then like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. And thank you for watching.